everybody? Welcome to Just My Two Cents. I'm super excited to be back with you all today with another video. Also, I want to say welcome to all the new subscribers. Y'all, the channel is really taking off and it's really because of you all. So thank you all so much for subscribing to the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure that you go ahead and you like this video and make sure that you comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure that you go ahead and you do that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. And today we are talking about car shops. And as you can see, I have name dropped some of the car shops that we'll be talking about in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. A couple weeks ago, I got a nail in my tire. And I don't know how I got the nail in my tire. All I know, I was picking up dinner and I was driving home and I noticed that my warning light was on as well as the tire light. And I kept trying to figure out like what was going on because I didn't see the light when I was driving earlier that day. However, all of a sudden I saw the light on and I was like, I need to try to figure this out. So I pulled over and I was trying to figure out, was it a nail or did the cap come off the tire? I really wasn't sure what was going on. So something was like, yo, just go and get it checked out. So the first place I went was Firestone. Personally, I haven't been to a Firestone in years. Firestone is not my first place to go to for my car needs. However, I have been to Firestone in the past, but it's not necessarily my first place to go to if I'm having a car need. So because it was an emergency and they were literally like 2 to 3 minutes, the max 5 minutes from where I was at the time, I said, let me go ahead and go to Firestone because it was after 5 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock, and a lot of these places were getting ready to close. So I'm like, okay, cool, like, let me run to Firestone, see if it's something that they can do. Hopefully it's something that they can do, or I can leave it there and they can work on it the first thing the next morning. I was really trying to troubleshoot what I could do on my end to make it as smooth of a process for them to either work on it that evening or the next morning. I really needed to kind of figure this out. So when I got to Firestone, the young man was super, super nice. I will say Firestone is always packed. That's one of the main reasons that I don't go to Firestone, because you can have an appointment at 8 a.m. when they open or whatever time they open and won't leave until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And that's just for oil change. That's not for anything extensive. That's just for an oil change. So I was hoping that it really wasn't anything that serious, because I saw that the parking lot was already full. Inside, it really wasn't a lot of people in there. I think they were having people either wait in their cars or drop their cars off. I'm not really sure. But I do know that the parking lot was pretty much full except for maybe like 1 or 2 parking spaces. So I was really hoping that whatever was wrong with my tire wasn't that serious and it would only take maybe like 15 minutes for them to kind of look at, fix or whatever. And then, or if it was something that I could fix and, kind of move on, not necessarily have to be there, wait, and all that stuff. He did look at my tire and he told me that it was a nail in my tire, that they wouldn't be able to repair the tire that night. The only thing that he would be able to do for me was to put some air in the tire, and that would be about it. He told me that there were 2 other tire places up the street that could probably help me out, so he pointed me in their directions. So the first place I went was to Express Oil Change, and I've seen them before. However, I've never stopped there. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, let me go ahead and go over there because I saw on their website that they closed at 6 p.m. So I hurry up, I go over there, and about this time it's like 5:30. So I go over there, I talk to the man, I tell him that Firestone sent me over here because there's a nail in my tire. I asked him, can they fix it? They said, yeah, go around to the back and talk to the manager. So I go around to the back, I talk to the manager, and the manager, he comes, he looks at the car, and he says, yes, it's a nail in it. Then he said that they could fix it. However, they wouldn't be able to fix it that night because when he checked his watch, he was like, he doesn't have time to fix the tire and close down the shop. And if he does all that, then essentially it would be after, I guess, whatever time they're supposed to get off and have the shop closed down. The only solution that he could think of was for me to either go to another shop to see if they could fix it or for me to come back tomorrow morning. And I was like, wouldn't the tire go flat overnight if I bring it back tomorrow morning? He said, yeah, but he was sure that he would be able to fix it the next morning if I would be able to get it towed over there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is getting, really frustrating because Firestone wasn't able to help me. They weren't able to help me. I was really starting to get frustrated at this point because I'm like, they know that people get off at 5 o'clock and they want these companies to close up at 6. So literally, if you are in a high traffic area where if you get off at 5 and then you might get to your home or whatever at about 6 o'clock, or if you run into any type of issue while you're on the interstate and about time you get off the interstate and find a car location to go to kind of fix it, then it's a possibility that they're going to be closed. Then you're out of a car. Then you have to take off the next day. It really creates a whole problem that really can be avoided if they stay open at least one extra hour or until 8 o'clock. And I know that people will have to get paid extra. People might have to pick up other shifts or you may have to hire other employees, but I really feel like this is an issue. However, I was able to find a place to go to, and this place is called NTB Tire and Service Center. So shout out to them for being able to help me with this process. It literally took them about 15 minutes or less for them to fix my tire. So I definitely want to give them a shout out. Matter of fact, I also want to bring up this point that it was another person in there, and this person was having their battery replaced in their car. And they had to go to another location that was about 15 minutes away, bring that battery back, put the battery in the car, and then check the lady out. And then at that time, when I was finishing up my stuff, it was about 6:15. And I bring this point up to say that I know how it is when you're ready to get off, when you are only getting paid by the hour. You want to go home, take off your clothes, take a shower, eat dinner, relax, and so on and so forth. But to me, that kind of showed that that company was a little bit more customer centered because that was a lot they had to do for that particular customer. And I really appreciate them for going above and beyond just to fit me in to patch my tire, but also just looking at her situation and what they had to do for that and knowing that they get off at 7 o'clock, I was like, wow. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and down the other two companies because, like I said, I know what it's like when, you've probably had a long day or a long week and you want to get off. But in some instances, people always talk about going the extra mile and how the extra mile can really make a difference in somebody's life. And I really feel like by NTB going the extra mile to fit me in, from now on, I would probably be more inclined to go to them for my car needs as well as refer other people to them if they have car needs as well. Now, I might give Express Oil another opportunity to see what they're about. However, I know for some things I'll probably go back to NTB for those needs. Now, to really get down to the nuts and bolts of the issue is that a lot of these places, as I mentioned earlier, they close at 6. And they really don't have any emergency or express lanes. And I really think that some type of tire or service center that you should consider having an emergency or an express lane. And with these emergency or express lanes, these are for car issues that will only take about 30 minutes or less to fix. Now, if it's 30 minutes or more, then to me that's more reasonable. But if it's something where it's like 15 minutes or 30 minutes or less to fix, then I think why not have at least one or two emergency express lanes? Now, to me, that sounds reasonable. I don't have a tire or a service center. I don't know. I'm just a consumer who ran into this issue, and I know that I'm not the only one who has run into this issue. So if you own something like this, I really think that this would help to drive your business in a positive direction rather than just kind of letting the customer kind of be out there on their own, because I think that the solution of coming back the next day if you have a hole in your tire, to me, is unreasonable, because now I have to get a tow truck involved. I have to take off from work. I have to try to figure out transportation. So it becomes a whole nother issue. Now, I know that's not the issue of the company, but I feel like if you have an emergency or an express lane, then it kind of will help alleviate some of these problems where now you have a whole tire that's flat and the person has other issues that they need, and then they come in there on 10 because they already upset because they got a flat tire. Now they upset because they missing work and they have to sit in the car service center until you fix it. So just want to throw that out there. Another thing that you could do besides open up an emergency or an express lane would be to kind of stay open until 7 or 8. I think staying open later would really help people who get off at 5, because as I mentioned earlier, if you get off at 5 and if it's traffic, then really when you get to maybe a place where you can get something to eat, or you go to the grocery store, if something happens when you get off the interstate and it's almost 6 o'clock and the place closes at 6, you can pretty much wrap that up. But if the place closes at 7 and something happens to your car when you get off the interstate, especially if it's around 6 o'clock, then you have more of a chance for them to fix it that night than for you to have to deal with the issue not only for that night because you're up all night looking for a tow truck and trying to figure out who can tow it to wherever, but you can kind of take care of the issue that night and not have to worry about that and to carry that over into the next day. So this is just something to think about if you own something like this. I wanted to put my experience out there. Also, once again, shout out to NTB. Really appreciate you all for everything that you all did that night. Also, thanks to the people at Firestone for even looking at my car, telling me that it was a nail in it. Also, thanks to the people at Express Oil for just even walking out and looking at the car, even though, you all can do much that night. I really appreciate that as well. So, with that being said, make sure that you like, you share, and that you subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.